Are you feeling older than you should? And how can you get back your youth and vitality naturally? Welcome to Womenfolk Revival, where we are deeply rooted and wildly intentional. I'm Maggie.
And I'm Meara. And I've been noticing a shift lately, and not just in myself, but with a lot of other women as well that I talk to. If you ever thought, why am I so tired lately? Or why can't I handle stress like I used to? Then this episode is definitely for you. Because to me, it's not about getting older. It's actually just changing inside your body in your 30s and 40s and beyond. And this is pretty much why no one really talks about it. But before we start, I have a brief little thing. I made some sweet mint from my garden with fennel and green cardamom pods. And I just discovered that the sweet mint is a powerhouse for women in perimenopause. Spearmint may help lower excess androgens, which can support clear skin and reduce those little hormone chin hairs. It also has cooling properties that can help heat waves or if you're feeling restless or wired. So I thought that was a cool little did you know, because
That's great.
I was going to be drinking that throughout here. So anyways, at the time I brushed this shift that I felt off as, okay, I'm just becoming a mom again because I had 10 years difference between my first two and my third, and I was 35 when I had my third. But looking back, with that being 7 years ago, and over this past year, I have really taken the time to understand what's actually going on in my body. And I realized that it's not just aging. It's our lifestyle, how we move, how we eat, how we rest.
And
this
all
has a
of that
massive...
is making us feel older than we are.
And it's a massive, non-negotiable impact on how we feel from day to day, because energy is not just about sleep. It's how our body responds to being out all day long and how much we're putting out and taking in and how fast we're moving and how we're just constantly stuck on that on mode. We're moms. We're always on the on mode. And that's what led me to cortisol. It has the worst reputation, but it's actually a really essential stress hormone.
Yeah,
it helps us wake up in the morning. It helps us respond to our day. And it's higher in the morning and it's lower at night because at night it helps us relax. But when we're constantly pushing and on the go and extremely stimulated, that's when our rhythm that Maggie and I always discuss about gets disrupted. And that's when things really start to change. So looking back, for me, 35 is when I saw that my progesterone levels were low when I was pregnant, but it didn't really, the doctor really didn't say anything to me about it. She's just like, oh, well, your progesterone levels low. But by the time I was 37, they got even lower. And during my third pregnancy, which was our first child with my now husband Omar, we were bleeding in the beginning, and she did some tests and said your progesterone is dangerously low. So she put me on a progesterone supplement to try and help support things. She said, now taking progesterone is not going to keep the baby, stable. If your body is going to abort the fetus, then it's just going to happen. The progesterone isn't going to fix that. But she wanted to have this progesterone help support my body with working alongside everything else. So anyways, now I understand that low progesterone is one of the hallmark signs of transitioning into perimenopause, but we never get it checked. We just feel off and assume it's normal, right?
And I want to say too, Wild Yam is a great thing to use to increase your progesterone and level out all of your hormones.
Wild Yam is absolutely amazing, and it is like a well-known thing that's going around right now, but I do also want to say that I have done my research on Wild Yam cream, and for those women who are still having very regular cycles, like I was having very regular cycles, and I actually started using Wild Yam cream, it started messing with me emotionally. And when I did and looked more into it, what I was told was, if you're still having regular cycles, don't use Wild Yam cream until your cycles become irregular, because it's going to throw everything off. Yeah, with the hormones and stuff So I would
Now,
look more into that.
do you know, if that is just a transitional thing, or is that going to be, it's just going to continue throwing everything out of whack? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
I haven't done enough research to understand the exact
Okay.
ways for how to use wild yam cream. I would definitely talk to your practitioner or a holistic practitioner who knows more about that. But from the research that
Or
I
an
have
herbalist, I
gathered,
guess, yeah.
yeah, is that if you are still having regular cycles because your hormones are still pretty balanced, to not use the wild yam cream, because the wild yam cream it doesn't replace the hormones, but it helps level out the hormones. So if you're trying to level out hormones that are already level, it can kind of throw your body in whack, is from what I understand. So I would look more into that if that's something that you're wanting to use and you're still having normal cycles. But I do know that it is amazing cream, and my mom actually uses it as well, and she's post-menopause. So yeah. Fun fact, cortisol and progesterone share the same building blocks in the body. It's like a factory. So when your body's constantly in stress mode, it prioritizes that survival mode that you're in, and it produces a lot more cortisol. So it pulls all the resources away from your progesterone to do it. And progesterone is our calming hormone. Yes, I just learned that a little bit ago. It kind of like pumps the brakes on our nervous system. So when our progesterone levels drop, it's not just a hormone issue. We're just actually losing our ability to slow down and feel calm and handle stress the way we need to. And that's why we feel a lot more anxious, a lot more overwhelmed, and so easily drained. So many women are like, I just don't understand why I'm so tired. I don't have the energy, and are easily drained. And, it's just like, no one knows where to go or what to do or where to start. So that's why we're here with this episode. And that brings me to coffee.
Coffee is just replacing,
yum.
it's taking energy that your body already has, and then it's just shifting it. So just stealing energy from your body and making you believe that the coffee is producing it, but it's not.
And I'm not giving it up, because man, I love my coffee.
I'm drinking crappy coffee right now with crappy coffee cream.
Mold, yum. No, I have yucky moldy coffee too. I've completely changed how I think about coffee now, though. I see it as, like you said, a borrowed energy, and on an empty stomach now that I'm in my 40s is like, no way. Your cortisol is already naturally higher in the morning. So when we add that caffeine, it's like we're hitting that gas pedal so hard, like we just start going out of control, right? So our body's releasing stored energy extremely quickly, which feels really good for a moment, that high, and then and then you crash. Or you don't feel anything at all and you just have to poop, and then you feel like crap for the rest of the day. You have that weird tired feeling.
Poop.
Yeah, poop. Take a BM. And that's the cycle. We're borrowing energy from later in the day, and we're paying it forward with fatigue. So, I have to be mindful of that. But I only drink one. I'm a 1-cup gal. I don't do more than 1 cup of coffee.
I go through stages. Sometimes I don't drink coffee at all, and then other times I do. I don't drink coffee for energy. There's just something very warm, and it's kind of like a comfort food, but drink.
Yeah.
And I try and get the the natural creamers that are still high in sugar, but all natural ingredients.
Do you do those Chobani ones? Have you ever tried Chobani?
I have. Yes.
It tastes so weird. I don't like Chobani.
Some of them do. Some of them do. What do I can't even remember the brand that I get. Bliss, naturally.
Oh yeah.
Bliss something.
I've heard of that. I just do half and half, because it doesn't have any
But I get that from the
weird
grocery store,
additives.
and I don't live close to the
Yeah, me
grocery
too.
store, so sometimes I just run to Old Family Dollar and get the crappy stuff.
Woo! Good old Family Dollar.
When
I
you
love
live in the
Family Dollar.
States, you do.
Heck yeah. I could
But
stay
what
in
I
Family
really
Dollar
need
for
to
a
do
while.
is, I really need to learn. I just need to make milk tea, because that's fantastic, and that is the same kind of warm and cozy feeling, and it's all good for you.
Oh,
Saves the
yes,
caffeine
it
in black
is.
tea,
It
but-
is. Right. So when we drink coffee, now I'm learning that we need to look for third-party tested beans, and they're a bit more expensive. But I also buy the whole beans instead of the pre-ground ones because the exposure coffee has apparently to air, the higher chance of mold and toxins, which actually makes you feel more jittery and sluggish.
And not only that, Meara, but as with all processed foods, there are a certain amount of insects, including roaches, that will get into that. And the FDA has a limit, like you're allowed so many bugs and roaches in your food.
I do know that.
Come on. Come on.
Right. So while we want the benefit, we want the benefits. We don't want the side effects because coffee does have really good benefits as well.
It does.
So how do we know if we're in this early stage of perimenopause or, going into menopause? Honestly, we shouldn't wait for lab testing because our hormones fluctuate so much that they miss the full picture, which brings us back to the episode we had on advocating for yourself when going to the doctor and the doctor's seeing all of your lab tests and them coming back normal. And you're like, yeah, but I'm feeling this way, right? So like we said then, pay attention to patterns. Pay attention to your sleep. Pay attention to your mood, especially the week before your cycle. And we're going to do a whole episode on cycles. Yes. Pay attention to your energy throughout the day. You feel wired but tired. More reactive to stress, like you're snapping more than usual. And it just feels like a whole level of different. Or your energy, it's not steady anymore. So we need to get into how we support our energy. And it just goes back to the basics. Blood sugar. Don't skip protein in the morning. If you eat breakfast in the morning, please do not eat carbs. Protein, because it'll stabilize your energy and your cortisol throughout the whole day. And Maggie is laughing at me because the next thing I'm going to say is hydration is key. It's not just about drinking more water though, because our body need minerals to, absorb that water and use it. Yeah. So we use Baja Gold salt. And if you don't have Baja Gold salt, you can use
Himalayan salt.
Maggie
or
uses
salt.
Yes, any type of sea salt. It helps regulate your nervous system, and it brings your body out of that constant stress state. If you drink that in the morning and replace it with your coffee, water with mineral salt and lemon, that actually is energy. And it will carry you throughout the day. And I am not kidding. Just last week, I had some made pancakes for my kids. And they were homemade pancakes. But I was like, oh, yeah, one's not going to hurt. And let's have coffee before noon. And I was on the floor before noon, just struggling trying to make it for the rest of the day. And I'm like, how can this be? Well, my body is changing. So I have to address how I eat and drink differently. So I fast until noon. But before that, I do my... First one is water with, vinegar with the mother. And then I do my tea and my Baja Gold salt and lemon with water. And then after 12, if I want to eat, it's just protein, or I do my coffee. And I notice that I'm like balanced throughout the day. I don't get weird, pretty smooth. So,
Now, I am somebody that just has to eat in the morning. Otherwise, I just do not feel well. And eggs are great. I eat eggs all the time, but I like toast with my eggs. And that's just something that I'm going to have to, save until lunchtime or later in the day.
Well, but don't beat yourself up over it. Like if you're one that's like, oh man, this feels like a diet to me. This is a lifestyle change we discuss all the time. So even if it's just you want.
If it's a day where I feel like I need a piece of toast, I'm going to have a piece of toast, But
or you don't have to give it up.
Not to.
Right.
And
that's
you don't
the
have
key
to give
for
it anything. Aim not to. But if it's just one of those days, then by all means.
Or you can just do smaller portions. So like instead of a whole piece of toast, maybe a half a piece of toast and an extra egg to cover over that carb situation you're going to have going later on in the day,
Yeah, that sounds fun.
So, moderation. And it's not about having to give up things you like. Like I'll still eat ice cream You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to eat it an hour before bed. So sometimes I'll eat it before dinner because dinner's protein, and I'll get that out of the way. You just got to change things around.
And make it, we are, in my family, we are ice cream people. We love ice cream.
Oh, yes, you are.
So I really, I really want to get to where I am making our own ice cream, and I'm using raw milk, and I'm using eggs from our chickens that we do not have yet, but should have shortly. Mm-hmm. And using, real ingredients, fruit, especially fruit that we grow. We've got raspberries and such, and strawberries. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's so dreamy. If you can do it yourself, especially if it's something that you really shouldn't be eating. Mm-hmm. But, if you're using wholesome ingredients, do it. Just don't put added sugar into it. And,
right. I agree. Yeah. That's my train of thought. Another thing is...
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Walking, I think, is what you're going to say.
Yeah, next, right? Let's discuss
movement.
The more easy steps on how we can... Because I do want to say, too, there are a lot of overlapping symptoms with perimenopause and high cortisol. Mm-hmm. So you really want to learn both of them and learn, because there are many differences between the two as well. But if you're not familiar with all of the issues that can arise from each of them, then you could be kind of stuck in a place where you're not sure what you're suffering mm-hmm. from. Mm-hmm. So in doing these easy steps will help you figure that out too, because all these easy steps are they're gonna level out your cortisol and give you the energy and make you feel more youthful and mm-hmm. more healthy like we should. And then if you're still having issues after that, then, maybe you're in perimenopause, or maybe it's something different and you need to, maybe check out your thyroid or something else. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, walking. Walking is one of the best things that you can do for your body. Anybody, man, woman, child, walking is one of the greatest things that you can do. And if you can walk outside, even better. And if you can walk barefoot, even better. Get that grounding in too. But it's also good for your feet. Shoes are really horrible for your feet because they bind your feet. Mm-hmm. Your feet should be spreading out. And mm-hmm. if you have those shoes that allow your feet to do that, fine. But, barefoot is best.
Yeah, walking's one of the most powerful things we can do for our body. It tells us we're safe mm-hmm. and helps regulate our nervous system. And
just 20 to 40 minutes a day.
Yes, 20 minutes, starting out 20 minutes is perfect. But I mean, even if it's less and you're just starting out, just start small. I could care less if it's to the mailbox and back. Get up and get moving. That's the issue that we run into later in life, post-menopause, as we're aging, our range of motion stops. Mm-hmm. Just start moving your shoulders, move our neck. We completely forget about these things. And I have an uncle who was very into weightlifting, like heavy. And my aunt, she would go to the gym with him all the time as well. And my husband was getting back into fitness, and he said to my uncle before he passed away, he said, "What's one thing you would go back, or what's one thing you can teach me about, getting into shape and lifting weights and doing training for my body?" And my uncle said to him, "It's not about the weight." So like you said, Maggie, with even if you just use your own, use your own
body weight.
Your own body weight. Mm-hmm. That's key. It really doesn't matter how many pounds you lift because you're going to hurt yourself. And he was so in such amazing shape, but his range of motion was like 5%. It was bad. His shoulders were in really bad shape. He had to lift up his whole arm to get his shoulder to get his arm to move sometimes. So, start very small. I just started walking a mile a day the last 2 weeks. And while the scale hasn't budged, and my husband told me, don't even look at that scale. It's about how my clothes are fitting. My collars are huge. My pants feel more loose. Walking in the morning gets you energized, gets you thinking clearly. Walking in the evening after dinner actually helps for you to lose weight.
Yeah, that I find very interesting. And I like the idea of that, but and maybe I'll start implementing both because I love walking in the daytime and just walking the property and looking, through the creek and the woods and having the sun on me, and it's just so dreamy. Walking in the evening does not appeal to me very much in the same way, but if it's going to help me lose weight and if I have the time to do it, then, I'll do it.
Right.
Because it's
Well,
not something it's not a full-on workout. It's not something that's stressing me out. In fact,
it's
walking
not.
actually reduces your stress.
It does. It tells your body that you're not in danger.
Yeah. And as far as, doing movement where you're using your body weight, those are things like squats or push-ups. Even like when I'm in the kitchen cooking, sometimes I'll just start lifting my leg as high as I can, and I'll do it until, it starts to get heavy and I start to tire, and then I switch to the other one. And I'll just do weird things like that throughout the day just to make sure that I'm moving. My husband makes such fun of me. He's like,
I was going to say, does he ever come in there looking at you funny, like, what on earth?
And sometimes I'll just kind of, swing my hips back and forth and just to,
yes,
just to be moving,
it's all about,
just to be working my muscles and,
And as funny as all this sounds, it's so true because, working as a CNA and an LPN in assisted living even, just seeing people decline so fast and them saying, I just don't drink enough water and I have to pee because they're not using it with the minerals, and their range of motion isn't good, and their reaction time, even with myself being 42, I noticed that my reaction time isn't as fast as it used to be. So that alone scares me. And so I've gotten on the ball about being a bit more active. And you would think this woman is constantly active with these 5 kids. Let me tell you, they run themselves into the ground. But I guess I'm going to have to let them start running me into the ground in a different sense because I need to get it together. I still have little kids that I'm trying to raise. So,
and you also need to live until you're 100 with your friend Maggie, because that's my plan.
Stop. I don't want to live that long.
I do. But if you feel good and if you're in good shape, then by all means you should.
Sure.
And Meara drives me nuts because she's always saying, "Oh, I'm so old and I'm in perimenopause," and
I am in perimenopause.
I refuse to say I'm in perimenopause. Well, I just don't feel it, and I just, maybe I am in denial, and that's fine. That's fine, right? I'm keeping a youthful mind because I want to be youthful because I don't even feel like I'm at my halfway point yet.
Sure.
50 is middle age.
Well, when I say that I feel old, I feel old.
It's
but
from
I don't.
lifestyle.
I'm not saying that. Sure, but I'm not saying that I am old. And with what you're saying is, I don't like being in denial. Every woman's going to be different, and like I said, it can take 10 years for you to, you can be in perimenopause for 10 years and not know it. So it's all about understanding your body, what your body's going through. Understand the cues your body's trying to give you, because everyone's going to be different. Like, you're totally different than me. You don't feel like you're in perimenopause. You don't think you're in perimenopause. And that's just how your body's telling you that. My body is screaming at me, and we're the same exact age by not even in 1.5 weeks, maybe. Yeah. And so therefore I have to approach things differently, but that's why we're doing this episode, is to tell people that you have to prepare.
We don't need to approach things differently because we both should be giving our bodies what they need. We both should have started a long time ago on doing these things, regardless of how we feel. It's what our bodies need.
Well, that's just what I was getting at. That's what I'm saying is we have to prepare early, like in our 30s, going into perimenopause, because when I say we have to approach things differently, is because we're just now figuring out all of these things that we've needed to start doing. So we're approaching it differently because you're still learning your part and I'm still learning about my body. So.
Yeah. And obviously we're included in this because we're talking about how, we're late in the game, but this is just all common sense stuff, walking, hydrating, eating real food, protein, moving your body, and getting sunlight and fresh air. That's just all common sense, but it's been like
People don't
it's just been
connect
like
it.
ripped from our minds because of society.
And people won't connect that. And after menopause, the foundation stays the same. So that's why we have to build on it. That's why we have to start young. Protein becomes even more important. You know, resistance training is like literally essential for our bodies because
Yeah.
protecting our muscle mass and our bone density is key to long-term energy and longevity, because you know people go for these bone scans or they don't have enough bone density, and then they end up having all these osteoporosis, osteopenia, all these issues. And you know, if there's one thing to take away from this, it's that our energy at our age is not going away from us. It's not disappearing. It's just shifting. It's changing. It's about change. So that's where the lifestyle change comes in, because while our body's changing, our lifestyles have to change. And if not, then you're going to just be so late to the game that you're going to end up on medications because you weren't able to keep up. Now, you might have to end up on medications because some people's, you know, family history just is not nice to them. But there's also other ways that you can balance that. You can balance that while taking medications with natural things. But you have got to make sure, obviously, that you're talking to your doctor about that while you're doing so.
Yes. Yeah. And family history doesn't always mean that you're going to end up with the same thing.
It doesn't.
A lot of times, these things that are considered, oh, it's in your family history, so if they have it, you'll have it. If you live the same lifestyle, sure. But if you don't, then there's a very good chance that you'll never have an issue with any of these things, you know?
Right.
A lot of these things never even existed until this new
eating.
Yeah, all this crappy food and not being outside and not being active and you know, this constant state of chronic stress where we're always on the edge with everything. You know, just slow down, meditate, pray. And you can do this while you're walking too. It doesn't have to be, you know, oh, there's 100 things that I have to do. A lot of them, you can do them together. Walk, look at nature, be one with nature. Don't have your phone, don't have your screens. You know, that's your break from the screen time. And, you know, work on your breathing and talk to God and, you know, don't worry about anything because it's your walking time. That's your peaceful time. So you're able to do all these things at once. And it's not necessarily multitasking where you're working your brain a whole bunch. It's one cohesive, you know, thing.
Right. I did want to touch base real quick on the familial thing. While you're right, not all things that they say are familial, you're going to end up getting like high blood pressure, this, that, and the third. My biological father, I was adopted. So my biological father, I did get information that there was like high blood pressure on his side of the family and diabetes on the other. I have perfect, praise be to God. I have very good blood pressure and I do not have any kind of diabetes. And while, like you said, it could be based on how you eat and the environment you're in, for some things that are familial and are passed down, such as thalassemia. My husband has thalassemia trait and I am not a carrier. So our daughter does have the trait, and we do notice she does get tired more easily. She gets hungry more easily. When she just had her surgery, she needed vitamin A and iron. Not iron. She did not need iron. She has thalassemia. When you have thalassemia, you don't need iron. She needed A and I can't remember the other one. Sweet potatoes. So I was trying to figure out how to get that to her while in the hospital, because the hospital obviously doesn't have all those good foods that we need to start healing. They have sweet potato fries and oil, but they don't have sweet potatoes. So I was struggling to get the sweet potato for her. Anyways, with that being said, there's certain things that we cannot help having get passed down to us that we do, even though we might not need to pay attention to. Sure. Because, for example, she takes longer to get back to normal than most people because her blood cells are really tiny. So her bone marrow has to make more, and it makes her more tired. So diet-wise, we need to pay close attention to how she can't just do the same thing as everyone else in our house, because she's always so hungry and she's thirsty and she gets tired faster. So that's what I mean as far as familial. We still need to keep in mind, this could be happening. So let's better prepare.
Yes.
And like you said, overall, we just need to prepare anyways.
Yes.
Because we need to take care of our bodies for when we're older. We're not going to have the energy we have now, to try and get ourselves back on track. So we need to start now.
Yeah.
And you won't.
And with your protein too, I do want to say, get your healthy fats. Your body needs fat. All right. And don't.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a doctor and I can't tell you this, but do more research on cholesterol as well, because we need cholesterol.
It's good. Cholesterol's good.
I like to have high amounts of, and there's different types of cholesterol, but I like to have mine higher than what the medical industry says that it should be. Because as we've stopped doing those things, Alzheimer's has become a bigger issue, dementia, these brain illnesses that are becoming larger and larger and larger. A lot of that has to do with low cholesterol and low fat and no salt, so
And get it.
So butter, olive oil, what? Tallow,
Avocado oil.
avocados, nuts, seeds. Get a lot of that fat and a lot of the good cholesterol that comes from those as well.
Right. And when we start working with our body instead of against it, things will start to become and feel more steady, more supported, and more sustainable. We don't have to do everything perfectly, but we just have to start noticing what helps us feel better and build from there. So like get baselines for blood pressure. Even if you don't have high blood pressure, just take it. So that if something happens, you'll say, well, this is my baseline. This is where I normally am at. Mine's always lower than usual. My husband's higher than usual. He's healthy. So, just start noticing what helps you feel better. So if this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend who has been feeling the same way, and make sure you follow along next week for our episode on, this time, powerhouse plants.
Yes, finally.
So until then,
stay rooted and stay wild.
Stay wild.